How's it everyone, Grant here. Welcome back to another camera comparisons video. This time it's between the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the LG G6. This is being shot from the front-facing camera at 1080p because that is the max resolution the G6 can shoot at. I'll be showing another clip right after this with the S8 at 4K and the G6 at 1080p so you can compare them at their max resolutions. So like all my other camera comparison videos, I'll be showing you some photos and videos in both good light and low light so you can decide for yourself which you might like better if you're trying to choose between these two devices. So real quick, let's do a front-facing camera stabilization test. I'll just pick it up off the mount here and we'll walk with it. So you can see what the stabilization is like from the front-facing camera. We'll try to pick up the pace a little bit so you can see how the stabilization is at a little bit quicker pace. So that's just a quick test of the front-facing camera at 1080p. Okay, and here we have the Galaxy S8 set to 4K. The G6 is still at 1080p. This is so you now can compare side by side the front-facing cameras at their max resolution, at their very best. So if you're trying to choose between these two devices and you're not really sure, hopefully this really helps in your purchase decision. Off the bat, from what I can see in the viewfinder, the S8 already has a wider field of view, while the G6 definitely has a little bit more washed out colors. That could just be due to the panels, but you let me know what you think. And we'll try to do a little stabilization test here so you can see the stabilization from the front cameras at 4K. So we just picked up the camera mount here and we'll do a little bit of walking. So we'll see how the stabilization looks at 4K and we'll try to pick up the pace here, see if we get any more shake. And there you go, so that's just a quick camera sample from the front-facing cameras, 4K on the Galaxy S8 and 1080p on the G6, their max resolutions. Okay everyone, so here we have some rear-facing footage being shot at 1080p, 30 frames per second from each device. As you can see, it's a nice sunny day here. Deep blues in the sky. The Galaxy S8 is looking a little bit more saturated while the LG G6 looks fairly natural here. We'll try to test the zoom on each. So we'll zoom in with the Galaxy S8 and we'll try to pan around a bit to see how steady it is. So it's a little grainy because it's a digital zoom, but it's fairly steady considering it's zoomed all the way in. And we'll zoom back out and we'll zoom in with the LG G6. And off the bat, this is a little more shaky. And we can pan around as well. And it's definitely more shaky on the LG G6, zoomed all the way in, which is typical for most phones. We'll zoom out. And notice if you zoom out all the way out, it switches to the other wide angle lens. And we'll go back to the regular, normal lens there. We'll try to do some focus tests. So we'll try to get in on this branch here as close as we can. And then we'll move away, try to focus in again. It's a little hard getting them both in focus, but there they went. And at the right angle here, you can see the Samsung Galaxy S8 has a better depth of field, a little bit more of a blurred background. And one more time. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of stabilization now, so we'll walk around a bit. And again, as always, each device is mounted to the same mount, so it's all equal here. They both have stabilization turned on, so it should look fairly stable. We'll pan around the park so you can see a little bit more contrast with the blues in the sky and the greens here in the park. Each camera is looking very good here. But just wanted to give you some quick footage of both the Galaxy S8 and the LG G6 at 1080p, 30 frames per second. Okay everyone, here's some rear-facing footage from each device being shot at 4K. I'm standing next to a fairly busy road and it is a bit breezy this afternoon, so it should be a good audio test as well. As you can see here, we still have some nice deep blue skies in the early evening as the sun doesn't go down until pretty late nowadays. We'll start out by testing the zoom on each device. This is the Galaxy S8 8x digital zoom. And as we see in some other videos, it's a bit grainy, but it is very steady with some pretty good detail here as I pan around. Zoom back out. And we'll zoom in with the LG G6. A little bit less noise on the G6. Just as steady looking. I'll pan around as well. Zoom back out. And And so the G6 always zooms out to the wide mode, so we'll put it back to the normal mode. And since we see a bit of the moon there, let's try to zoom in on that real quick. So very nice detail there. You can see the contrast and the elements in the moon there very nicely, even though it's a little bit noisy here. We'll zoom in with the G6. And not as much contrast in the moon. You can't see some of the features as well as you could on the S8, but still looks pretty good, and it's not quite as noisy. Zoom back out, put it back to the normal lens there. We'll pan around the park here a little bit, and we'll try to get in on some of these flowers here, see if we can get any kind of bokeh effect, some depth of field. We'll try to focus in with the S8. And yeah, some pretty good depth of field there on the S8. Focus in with the G6, so we can get, we've got a little bit of depth of field there, a little bit of bokeh in the background. I don't think as good as the S8, but still looks pretty good. And we will do a little bit of stabilization here as I refocus the cameras. And we'll just do a little bit of walking here, so we can see what the stabilization is like in 4K on both the G6 and S8. And I'll pick up the pace here and run a little bit, so we can see what stabilization is like with a little bit more motion. But there you go. Just a quick sample in 4K from each device. So here we have some more footage from the rear-facing cameras being shot at 4K. This is obviously in low light, right after sunset. I'm clearly on a fairly decently busy street, so we can test the audio again. As I pan around here, you can get a shot at some of those lights. The LG looks like it's kind of flaring those out a little bit more than the Samsung. Although the Samsung again is showing a little bit more noise than the LG. Move it out this way. And we do a little bit of walking test here in low light. See if that impacts the image quality. Some cameras you'll see a lot more shake or a lot more weird motion blur in low light. And we'll do a little bit of light jogging. So we'll see how stable that came out. But again, a little bit of shot into some bright light there. Rear camera footage being shot at 4K. Just another quick sample here for you in low light. And here we are again in low light from the rear facing cameras on each device, this time in 1080p, 30 frames per second. So we'll pan around here, see what this looks like in 1080p. The LG is still kind of flaring out those street lights there, a little more than the Samsung. I'm seeing a little bit more noise in the LG in 1080p than I did in 4K. Samsung's still a bit noisy there, but the image is looking pretty clear. And we'll do another walking test here at 1080p in low light. See if this is any more stable than the 4K footage in low light. And another quick jog. So that is a 1080p 30 frames per second sample in low light. So there you go, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the LG G6. I just want to end this video with a low light sample from the front-facing cameras being shot at 1080p 30 frames per second. And already the LG G6 looks much darker and grainier, so the Samsung Galaxy S8 is the definite winner in low light for the front-facing camera here. Also, let me know what you thought about all the photos and videos in all lighting conditions. Which did you prefer? And as usual, I'm standing here next to the fountain, and like I do in most of my videos here, so you can kind of judge the audio quality, how well does each of the cameras do in canceling out the background noise and having better directional audio towards my voice here. I'll also pan the camera around so you can see how it does into some really bright light here, like the street lights behind me. And we'll do a quick stabilization test here as I walk around the fountain. You can see how the front-facing cameras do as far as stabilizing the footage here. But that should do it. That is your low-light camera sample from the front-facing cameras on each of these devices. And I hope you enjoyed this camera comparison video. Let me know if you have any other questions or comments in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.